Now, what's that, Joe?
No, I was just going to ask how long this
How,
show goes still.
you can be on for as long as you'd like. You want to give us a time?
No, it's okay.
Because we can get you out.
It's okay.
We're
No,
not
it's
going to
all
go
good.
long,
It's
15,
all good.
20.
I don't have anything to do.
Well, yeah, it's not. There's not a whole lot to talk about right now, too.
Good
It's all
evening to
anticipation.
all of our faithful WCAC, fellow and faithful WCAC folks. We are here for yet another Tuesday night on Monday. Don't trust your calendar on a day like this. The basement means only one thing, and it's a Tuesday flavor.
You had more important things to do, to
Well,
do so we're
I'm
not
gonna be
doing
eating
it on
some Chicago.
Tuesday
I'm gonna
night.
be eating at an Italian restaurant in Chicago tomorrow night.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's a whole different kind of Tuesday. Let's go ahead and get started here with a little WCAC Spectacular. We're down a man, up a bear, and we'll address it as we move forward. Here we go. Thank you for coming on a Monday night to check out some Tuesday night flavor from the basement studios of First Amendment Sports. I'm Ken Marangolo. He's Tim Strachan.
You almost you almost screwed up from the top
Hey,
on Monday night. Tuesday flavor. I like that. That's good stuff. It is, and I'm looking forward to this, man. Missing our guy. I think I got to look at the First Amendment sports vacation policy because somehow I didn't understand that you can just take
well,
like weeks off at a time.
in return for the additional excused absences, Kevin Ricca has agreed to do Oklahoma drills with sandcastles that he spends all day building. We're going to get that on video for everybody, and it's going to be amazing. Without further ado, I also want to bring in our guest for the night. As everyone knows, on Tuesdays, we like to talk about the WCAC. We have an awesome football season coming up. We've been taking the time to talk to folks from all the schools we're going to be covering. And it's a special pleasure and honor to introduce and bring on Joe Reyda, athletic director from Gonzaga High School, joining us this evening. Senor Joe, how we doing?
Hello, Ken. Hello, Tim. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you giving me a buzz and having me on the show.
We need Seal back with his soundboard to give the applause button
I got to tip
when
my
we when
cap.
we bring somebody like Joe Rado onto the show.
Yeah, I gave on video the hat was tipped. Gonzaga Purple Eagles did it in 2018, much to the chagrin of everyone who's not from Gonzaga.
It's so bittersweet for me. I mean, it was a great year
It
to
was
be
a
a
great
part
year.
of, but
when we tell people that the WCAC is the
those,
greatest high
those
school
old
conference in the
rivalries
land,
don't die, man.
no, they don't die at all. But the thing that's so great about the championships that they won with us with First Amendment is probably the lacrosse one was the one you would have believed the most, all the way through because Casey O'Neill runs a great program. They
That's right.
they pump out titles. Trivers was up against it at the end of the season on the football field in the WCAC. Steve Turner battled and took a very good team. Nothing against those guys. Past a couple of other squads that people had picked ahead of them. And so it was fun to watch Gonzaga this year, Joe. Two amazing programs, three if you include Casey's, which I guess we will tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't end there, but those three things. Congratulations, that was awesome.
Well, thank you, Ken, and Tim, and Kevin Ricca as well. I mean, you guys, put that game on the map. I mean, you made a name for yourself, and you made a name for the WCAC. And what a great year for Gonzaga to be a part of all three of those championships. And for our viewers, the people the alumni that are clear across the United States and even overseas, to be able to watch something like that with the great quality and the great announcing that you guys did, just a fabulous job.
Awesome, thank you.
It's really nice to have that and know that we're going to be moving forward with the same broadcasts this year for all the WCAC regular season games. And I think it's great, and I can't thank you guys enough for promoting the WCAC the way you do.
Yeah, one of the guys I think is Malcolm Johnson. He's on the West Coast. Is that right?
He is. He's
And I
out in
think he had a
California. Yeah.
watch party, and
A
and
bar in
I
LA.
saw he was getting in touch with old guys from his class, just saying, "This is awesome. This is so great that I can do this here." It was pretty cool to hear those kind of stories from people not just in the area that weren't able to make the game, but people who were all over the place.
Yeah, and and one thing I gotta say, I think we're undefeated when you guys are
This is
broadcasting us,
true.
so that's a good thing right now. Hopefully,
That's
hope we can keep it going.
That's why you keep inviting us back.
I was gonna
I knew there
say
was something.
there's been a lot of friendliness from the purple community, and now I'm starting to get it because
Well, well, Joe, the part that eats me away when you guys win that many championships, especially in one year, is like guys like James Matten that I grew up with
Yeah.
and
Yes.
played against in high school. Who, I think we beat
a sponsor of the
them.
show.
We were winners like
Thank you,
90% of the time. I never said anything, but that one time when they would win a game or something like that, man, I would hear it forever.
Yes.
Just imagine
yes.
how much I'm going to hear it now when they win 3 championships in one year. That's the stuff that just really eats me away.
Joe,
Well,
go ahead.
It's so. I mean, with DeMatha, the great success that they've had over the years, and then when Bob Malloy came in and turned the council around, I mean, those two teams just dominated. And I think for somebody like Gonzaga and St. John's, you get a taste of that, and it's something special. And over the last like 50, 60 years, since 1959, there's been 4 championships. And 96, 97, 2002 didn't seem like that long ago, but when we won that championship, I thought back, I'm like, that's 16 years ago since we won it.
Mhm.
It doesn't seem that long, but I don't think people know how hard it is to win a WCAC football championship. Not only football, but basketball, baseball. You can go clear right down the each sport, and it is so difficult. There's so much talent within the league, and to win it, to win it one time or multiple times, it's something special.
What's Jimmy's last name? The golfer who won it all?
Jimmy Taylor.
Taylor.
Jimmy Taylor.
Yeah,
he's going to Raymond Mary.
That's
He's
4.
just
Oh yeah, no,
unbelievable.
he shot a 66 at Northwest to cement it. It was always our goal in year one, and we probably overpromised each other anyways because Steve Colantoni never had any expectation that I was going to be able to pull it off. But we do actually have the ability to pull it off now, which is to be like David Ferry style out on the golf course for the WCAC golf finals.
I would have no problems getting
That
in a
would be
golf
great.
cart and chasing these guys around.
So that's coming. Gosh, it makes me sick that I couldn't get it done this year, but it will happen. Plus, we were going to figure out a way to do baseball. We committed to Mark last week, and the WCAC best 2 out of 3 finals is the best baseball high school finals in the country.
They talked about the format too,
yeah.
Joe, and Mark Gibbs hears from other people around around the country saying they wish they did their playoffs that way.
Yeah, I mean, we changed that probably, I think, maybe 3-4 years ago.
Yep.
And I wasn't in huge favor of it at the time that we did it. But now that we've done it, I don't think I'd ever want to go back. I mean, it's to be able to play a 3-game series, the best of 3, not only for the semifinals, but also the finals.
That's it. It's the semifinal one. The kick just totally kills me. That's the greatest.
The reason why you didn't like change is you still have the same hairstyle you had since you were like 15.
Hey, if it works, because it still works.
Sorry.
It still makes it work. I guess talking a little bit over the last few weeks, we've had a chance to talk to the folks on our show about their history with the league.
Yeah.
Joe, obviously you're a very well-known figure in the WCAC, and I had a chance to talk to you before. Gonzaga has some all-time great kind of sports figures. We talk about them all the time. But one that I wanted to ask you about was Pops Kozik.
Oh yeah.
Now, how long did
Kozik,
you overlap with him?
Coach Kozik, I was a student at Gonzaga, 81 to 85.
Okay.
So he was still a phys ed teacher. He was not the AD. Mark Allen was the athletic director. So I did have Coach Kozik as a phys ed teacher my sophomore year at Gonzaga.
Okay.
But the one story I kind of remember, this was when I first started working down at Gonzaga, and I was assistant athletic director. So I also was coaching football with Moss Collins. And Moss Collins and Joe Kozik, shared the same office when Moss came in. So Joe Kozik was teaching one phys ed class at that time. I think it was like 1992.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it was
Right.
around lunchtime where we're sitting up there, myself, Casey Donahoe, Moss Collins, and we're just having our lunch, just chatting. And Kozik came up and he said, I can't, I just don't understand this. I mean, I just had a gym class. Half the kids showed up, half the kids were in the library, the other half were absent. And we all just like looked at each other like, half, half, half. Okay, how did you get that? So, but it's just one of those things that, Kozik always had these, Kozikisms as they called them, but he was just such a great figure down there. Anytime you talk to the old timers, Kozik's name always comes up just because he meant so much to the community. He was
Oh
there
yeah.
for 50 years, and he touched a lot of lives in his 50 years.
Well, I mean, and you're just listening to you. So he was there when you were a student, and then you were just talking about a story. You were about what, 26 maybe at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
and
yep,
to be in a room with Moss Collins and him at the same time with all their experience and
Oh yeah.
all their stories and all the things that they could
Dude,
hand
Pops
off to
Kostick.
you at such a young age, and yet you're still in that position,
yeah.
20 some years later. So that's got to be an awesome experience.
We get
It is. And
Joe.
I
We,
just
we need to
feel
tell
fortunate.
T about Pops. We need like. Did you have a chance to
Oh,
ever
I
meet
know
him before?
no, yes, I know who he is.
I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
his barnstorming days with Bear Bryant.
Well, I don't know those days, but I do
Oh
know who
yeah,
he
he used
is.
to tell stories about that, about Bear Bryant, him and Bear Bryant going like barnstorming around the region for football players. I mean, who's was the last time you barnstormed?
Oh my God.
Not to mention his stories, cause, and his son Randy, and the Kozik family is real close to the Marangolos, and
Yeah.
he's a Carroll guy, Archbishop
Yes.
Carroll, and um, I believe the legend is he let his team name his kid. There was I forget who they were playing. Probably was St. John's for if we're being honest. I mean I can't.
How the wife think of that?
His name was they call him Randy, but I want to say it was like Francis. It was something. It was something like and I wish I could. I
I
could
Jesuit.
think you're right. I think you're right. His middle name might have
Aloysius
been
or something.
Francis. Yeah.
Or it was and yeah, because if they won, they got to name
Nice.
him. Or maybe when he unleashed when he was never afraid to unleash his team in a little bit of a brawl. I think the story of pretty much the team standing at bay on the sidelines until one voice out of nowhere where everyone knew exactly where it was from said go get him. And then it was benches clearing. So anyways, not I just he's one of those guys, right? And probably he was lived in the perfect time for the guy he was.
Oh, absolutely.
Thankful for that.
Yes.
And then yourself, though, Joe. I mean, you're from the area. You grew up here. You played at Maplewood. The families and the people that you know that not just went to Gonzaga, but played in this league as you were young, looking up at it, hoping that someday you'd be there. We talk about that all the time. Talk about that and your experience having gone from that kid to where you are now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned Maplewood, and that's where, I met the Strachan family, and
Mm.
I was very close with the Strachan family growing up, and when I went to Gonzaga, I had such a great experience at Gonzaga. I did not want to leave. I didn't want to graduate. I just wanted to stay there for the rest of my life and be a student there. I had such a great time. And then I went up to Catholic University and I played 1 year of football and 1 year of golf up there. And I just didn't like it. It just took a lot of time. I was not playing. And I just happened to be golfing with Mark Gallen the summer before my sophomore year at Catholic. And one of our, one of our coaches was leaving, and Mark had an assistant coach job open, and he asked me if I wanted to fill in that position, and so I decided to do that my sophomore year in college. So I took my classes during the day, jumped on the subway, and coached in the afternoon, and then did it all again, each and every day. And then more things. I started doing more things. I started working basketball games, whether I was running the clock or selling tickets, and then I was supervising a weight room. So things just kind of spiraled down to where once I graduated, I was fortunate enough to be offered a job there as assistant athletic director. And then I was working in the dean of students office while still coaching football. I started coaching golf. I did coach golf for 9 years with Dick Myers. And I moved into the development office for 8 years. And then December of '01, our athletic director stepped down. And I just told our headmaster, "Hey, I'll step in as an interim basis, see if I can do it." And you know, I was very fortunate that Mike Packenham said yes. Let's go with it. And Father Novotny agreed to it. And here I am 18 years later in the same position. I couldn't be more thankful.
And coming off the best
to
year you guys have ever had.
Oh God, yeah. It definitely was. And so I just feel like I'm lucky to be a
In
part of
sports.
Gonzaga for so long. It's a great community, a great institution. Great people come out of there. And then just being a part of athletics, which I loved growing up. I'm still a part of it, and I'm watching games for a living. And it's just such a great thing for me, my family. And it's something that I wake up and I enjoy going to work every day. It doesn't feel like a job. It's been such a pleasure working
Even
down
on
there.
those 18-hour days.
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
okay.
and
That's
those hours
okay,
just hanging
because
out
I was
at the
asking
gym.
before.
they're well worth it.
Joe, does the Gonzaga its academic team fall under your authority?
Sorry, Ken. No,
No?
of course not.
Oh,
Thankfully for its academic team.
what? I'm just saying those guys. That's the bread and butter of your entire student body. I mean, I'm just saying that those guys are athletes in every sense. The way they train. I know the way we did at McNamara. Anyways, we were straight up on the program. We'll keep those guys in mind. We'll let you get out of here, Joe. Only after we say thank you once again for having us during the regular season when you guys are hosting DeMatha. That's going to be an awesome day. We cannot wait. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, I appreciate you having me on here, Ken. Good luck with everything. Tim, thank you too. Good luck. Enjoy the rest of you guys' summer. And Ken, we got to get together and do that walkthrough. So
Oh yeah,
we know what we're doing down there for the
lots of
DeMatha game,
ideas.
okay?
We're probably gonna have to shut down at least 3 or 4 streets in like a 5-block radius to do this right. Anyways,
We'll all three run into each other in the Safeway in Kensington anyway in like the next
There
couple
you
of
go.
days anyway.
yeah,
Let's
but
have
don't
a
worry, we
little
won't tell
sidebar.
Griffin because I know he likes to let us size up the cantaloupes, and then when we put him, and then he sweeps in behind us to get all the good cantaloupes. I know Griffin's game.
We could have a really good WCAC food fight.
Oh, at the
Safeway.
we could just do this
There
show
you
in the
go.
produce section in Kensington. We'd catch half the league, and we got to get your boy Trivers and Stefanelli grew up next to each other,
Neighbors.
Yes.
next door neighbors.
I
It's
do know
just
that, yes.
ridiculous.
That
So
is crazy.
thank you so much for your time,
Well,
Joe. We will talk to
thanks,
you
Ken.
very soon.
Take care,
Sounds
bud.
good. Take care, Ken. Bye-bye.
All right, I don't know how to hang up.
Joe
the phone.
Reyda, athletic director,
There you go.
Gonzaga High School.
That was
Just,
awesome.
I've known him since I was tiny. I was a baby when I first knew him.
You weren't that
I mean,
small.
he's
as a baby.
talking. He's talking about
I thought you were always 6'4".
Meeting the Strachan family. It's also where
Oh,
he
yeah.
met the Haley family and the Tier family and all the other influential people in his life that I'm sure he would ramble on for hours and hours about. But yeah, no, I mean I remember him when I was a kid and watching him do whatever. He was one of the guys I looked up to when I was a kid. And hoping.
Well, there's a
someday to
reason
do what he
Gonzaga's
did.
doing well.
Absolutely.
I mean, among
Absolutely.
other things,
Well,
good
they're no dummies,
coaches,
too, to keep a
good
guy
kids. Yeah,
who's
but
that not just good at what he does, but that invested in Gonzaga itself and the league and the area and all that.
and a heck of an assistant AD out there. I see you, Casey. Heck of an assistant AD. All right, listen, we're gonna get out of here. We promised to keep it brief on this Tuesday flavored evening. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, he's Benjamin. He's Tim.
I appreciate it, man. And thanks again, Joe, for coming on. Really appreciate it. And look forward to seeing you guys again next week on Tuesday.
I know, but don't you have anything else to say?
Oh, stay grounded and stay rounded.
Stay grounded, stay rounded.
Please do, guys.
Until
And
next
gals.
Tuesday, I am Ken Marangolo, and this was the WCAC Spectacular. Still live. Don't say anything bad. No potty mouth. Keep it clean.
I got nothing bad to say. That was fantastic. See y'all next week.